All right, welcome to the Elevate Your Running Run Summit. I'm so excited for you all to be here. I hosted this last year. Um, I hosted this last year um, and it was awesome. We had really awesome speakers, and this year I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different with the speakers. Last year we had a nutritionist, a mental strength coach. We had my run coach. I spoke. And then we had a run form analysis coach, a strength coach, and just it was a full day. I think it was about 6 or 7 hours. So this year I kind of wanted to bring it in. It's about 4.5 hours. We're going to see if we can get through this and just touch on a few different things. Running fundamentals. I think everyone gets to go back to the basics when it comes to running. We also have Elizabeth Scott coming in from the Running Explained brand. She has an amazing Instagram account. She has a podcast. She's a runner. She's a run coach. She has a marketing background and she's incredible. So she's going to be coming in at 11 o'clock Mountain Time. So our next presentation, and opening the floor to Q&A for you guys, which is going to be super fun. She's great to talk with. We then have Claire Bartholic. I actually got to record her session a few days ago, and you'll notice that my hair looks totally different in that session because I had a hair appointment between midweek and today. And out with the old and with the new, and I cut many inches off of my hair. And she's going to join us, and she has an incredible story. She is also a run coach. She has a podcast as well. I feel like that's the theme for 2022, but she took her marathon time from a 4:02 to a 2:58. And we talk a lot about that and how she did it and the mindset around it and the comparison trap. It was a really awesome conversation, and I loved that hour. We then have Kevin Purvis coming in. This is a recorded session as well, just going over proper running form. I think a lot of times we just get caught up in how we run and we're not really thinking about tweaking how we run. Small tweaks can make significant gains on the roads, especially when we're racing. I will then jump in for a very quick presentation on how to create a strong and happy mindset. And it's something that if you're an athlete of mine, you know, it's something that I hold dear to my heart. I think it's very, very important as an athlete and something that we can talk in more detail one-on-one. And then we're going to wrap it. If anyone wants to hang out and stay for some yin yoga, some runner yoga. My great friend, Dr. Laura Johnson, she's from Boulder. She was able to do this last year for our group. And it's just one of those evergreen 30 minutes of yoga that never gets old. Everyone can do it. Anyone can do it. And the best part is that you get access to this for like your lifetime, indefinitely. So with that, we're going to get started. I'm going to go through running fundamentals. We're in for a great day. Feel free to, mute, keep your screen off or on, whatever you want to do. Take, coffee breaks, walk breaks, whatever you need to do to be successful. And a little bit about me for those who are not my athletes or those that I'm not coaching. I've been a lifelong runner. I mean, I started a little bit late. I started at the age of 24, but I've been running for over 15 years now. And I became a certified run coach a few years ago. I consider myself not just a run coach, but a life coach. A lot of times athletes need that TLC in the life department as well as running. I also consider myself an entrepreneur. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of goals, a lot of ways that I want to take my run coaching services and take it to the next level. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also a Boston marathoner. I think everyone knows that at this point, especially if you follow me on Instagram. I just had the best time in Boston in October, and It was just a life-changing weekend. So if I can help and align with any of my athletes to have that same experience, I want to do that. So what do? I help committed athletes elevate their running, their mind, and their life to achieve new levels of success, both on and off the roads and trails. Yes, I coach trail runners and ultra runners. I coach half marathoners and marathoners. It's a lot of fun. I work one-on-one with uh, dozens and dozens of athletes. I do group training in person in Denver. Right now, we're on a Wednesday night rotation, and I also host community fun runs. Right now, we have, and I say we, my run coach and I host a community Monday night group run, and it's also very fulfilling. Except last weekend when we had to run on lots of ice and I had a meltdown. We'll save that story for another time. So I also host a summer run retreat in Boulder, Colorado. This year it's June 23rd through the 26th. A lot of athletes are flying in for this. I know Aaron is. I have a few others who aren't on today but have registered. They're going to be here, and it's just going to be an amazing weekend. It starts on a Thursday afternoon, goes until Sunday. Feel free to reach out to me if you want more details on that. We have daily runs. I have really great presentations and ways to elevate your running and your training. We also get to do fun activities. We have really amazing food, and it's a lot of fun. I also have a black lab, Kenzie. I think a lot of you know that as well. She's awesome. She's 5.5, and you might hear her today. She's with me. And she gets a little feisty around 2:00. So we'll see what happens. And, I live with the run happy or the happy running mindset. So it's a good mindset to have. And we'll dig into that a little bit deeper later on today. I love this quote. I think this is an amazing quote. Everyone is an athlete. Some of us are training and some of us are not. I love this for so many different reasons. There's so many times I'll have someone reach out to me who say like, I'm not an athlete or I'm not a runner. But what defines a runner? I think, and there's Kenzie. I think if you're walking, if you're establishing goals to create healthy patterns, to embrace and enhance your athleticism and your endurance, you're definitely an athlete. Don't sell yourself short. All right, so we're going to talk about what to do pre-run, ideas on how to set yourself up for success. We're going to talk about mid-run and strategies for a successful long run and what that looks like, and post-run tips on how to recover for a strong running week, training block, which is typically 3 weeks with a recovery week added on, and then also a training cycle, which can be anywhere from 16 to 20 weeks. So pre-run, I put this presentation together yesterday, and I actually loved doing this because it actually brought me back into what I get to do pre-run. This week has been an awful week of running for me in terms of planning and getting my miles in, and I'm feeling incredibly underprepared for a race that I'm running next month. And when I started putting this together, I thought, I could use my own advice. So plan your route and gear needed. First and foremost, I think that's super critical. Know where you're running and what gear you're going to need. Every season is different. Winter looks totally different than summer. Spring, fall, windy, snowy conditions. We kind of have it all. Aaron was just mentioning it's about 4 degrees in Boston and icy. So what are we going to do? We're probably going to shift her run to a bike today. So we're not really going to plan her route or gear needed, or I guess we will for an indoor run. But also just thinking through where you're going. I know there's some athletes that I train, some are on here today, and they like to do the same route every day, same time, same place. And that's okay too, especially if you're in the marathon grind and you just need to get it done. Do what works for you. Set yourself up for success. Wear good running shoes. Each run has a different purpose. Shoes too. This is by far one, in my mind, one of the needle movers in training, you want to wear good shoes. You don't want to have shoes where your feet start to ache. You don't want to wear too heavy of shoes if you have a really fast track workout. You really don't want to wear too minimalistic of shoes if you're going out for a 20-mile run. So have a few different pairs of shoes. Have shoes for your long run. Have shoes for your endurance run. Have shoes, which would qualify as a long run too. Have shoes for a track workout. In my case, I need to get shoes for running in snow. Because yaks are great, Katulas are great. You strap them up to the bottom of your shoe, but it doesn't necessarily work if you're also running on a lot of pavement at the same time. So just be cautious of that. I've put up a few stories with my shoes. I rotate between 6 to 7 at any given time. And it's a really, really great strategy to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success, your feet feel supported, and it reduces the injury risk. So if you have any questions, reach out to me on that. Pre-run, make sure that you're fueling the right way. Eat a carb-licious breakfast and or structure more nutrition around your run. So if you run at night, make sure that you're eating enough throughout the day. Every runner is going to be different. Every macro calculation is going to be different. You will want to work with either a registered dietitian or work with your run coach to help get that dialed in for you. What does a carbolicious breakfast look like? It could be oatmeal with a full banana, a full scooping or serving of oatmeal. Add some cinnamon, add some spices, add some nuts, maybe some nut butter, make it really delicious and yummy. In the summer months, you can do overnight oats, which are cold oats, and you can make them yourself. You can use some Greek yogurt with oats, which also provides a lot of protein, and not too much protein. So you shouldn't have, too much of an upset stomach or not have an upset stomach going out. You could also say something like that for after your run. And then before you get up, let's say you are, whether you're doing like a morning or an afternoon or an evening run, like making sure, like if you've been sitting at your desk all day and you're doing an evening run, or you're waking up at 5 a.m. to run, even if it's walking around the house to like get dressed, have half a cup of coffee, eat a banana, eat something, walk around for 5 to 10 minutes just to get your legs warmed up, get the blood flowing. You'll want to do leg swings, lateral, back and forth, 10 swings each side. I have a great video up on my Elevate Your Running Instagram account where you can see the leg swings. You'll want to do some dynamic stretches and drills with some strides if you're doing a speed workout. What you do is you start working and you start actually warming up your muscles in a way where you reduce the risk of injury, which is very, very common in runners. And we'll get to that later on another slide. Awesome. So let's go into mid-run. Let's say you did your warm-up, you did everything that you need, you've had a really great breakfast, you did your leg swings. Fuel is power. Let's talk about long runs. Start consuming your gels at the 60-minute mark. This is essential. It's so essential to make sure that you are eating while running for long runs over 90 minutes. Once you hit that 60-minute mark, you can start, to segment out the gels every 30 to 45 minutes, kind of depending on what your stomach is allowing and also what type of run you're doing. So in training, it's not just about training for the distance. It's also about training your stomach for the gels. It's training your stomach for the hydration. It's training your body for the shoes that you're running. If you're wearing racing shoes, you should be doing a few long runs in those racing shoes as well to make sure that one, it works, you're not going to have a breakdown, and your feet feel good and comfortable. If you're going out for an easy long run, you probably want to stay more on the conservative side, and you can take a gel about every 45 minutes after that 60 to 90 minute mark. If you're running goal pace, it's a perfect way to completely simulate exactly what you're gonna do on course for race day and start, maybe a little bit closer to the 30 to 45-minute mark, and then every 30 to 45 minutes after, um, and you'll set yourself up for success there. In terms of hydration, hydration is super important when you're running, whether it's during the winter months, the summer months. You want to take sips of water every 10 minutes. Sometimes it's just easier to say every time your Garmin beeps at the mile, take a sip of water. You can take water with or without electrolyte mix. If you are a heavy sweater, if you are racing in a humid and hot environment, you should 110% be practicing with electrolytes and salt tabs if needed. I used salt tabs for the first time ever at Boston. I bought them the night before the race because after my shakeout round of 20 minutes, I was already sweating through my clothes. So I knew it was going to be a pretty gnarly race. And it worked out. It saved me at mile 16. I was in a pretty desperate place at that point, both physically and mentally. And the salt tab literally saved my race. And I don't think I would have finished without it. So practice with the salt tabs. You'll definitely want to have water right there with you because it's like eating a spoonful of salt. And then mental toughness. We're going to talk about this here in a few hours, but practice running without music. Maybe if you don't run with music, practice it with running with music. Try a new route that's new for you. I recommend that anyways. It's a really good way to test your body and make sure that it doesn't get status quo and kind of get stuck in the same running route. Even if you do run the same running route, try running it. Let's say you run it clockwise, try running it counterclockwise because the hills are going to feel different and it's going to make a big difference in your fitness. You really want to test your body, your muscles, and your mind. So you also want to keep your easy days easy. My athletes hear me say this all the time. What does that mean? You want to keep your breathing under control. You want to keep it easy. You shouldn't be gasping for breath. You shouldn't be feeling fatigued. You want to keep easy days as easy as possible. This should make up about 80% of your running miles. And this also keeps you injury free. I like to use the singing test. If you can sing a song, if you can say a few sentences or share a story with a friend without gasping, for air while you're talking, trying to simulate that, then you're running slow enough. If you are gasping for air or you can't string sentences together, you're running too fast. You got to slow it down. What that means is you're running in the gray zone, and it is a very dangerous zone to be in. What happens is your body doesn't recover, and then you go into an interval workout already feeling depleted. Your body's not recovered. You add extra stress in that track workout, that threshold workout. You're digging your body into a bigger hole. You go back into a gray zone for a few more days of what I call quote unquote easy running, but you're running too hard. Your body's still not recovering. And then all of a sudden you're injured and you're wondering why. I also realized that, singing is, never mind. Singing is spelled right. So make sure that, you're really dialing in your easy pace. And then it gives you the ability to hit your intervals and your track workouts and feel really successful with those. Running easy is probably the hardest thing to do, but it's something that you want to keep controlled. It's also a really great way to focus on your running form and to focus on your breath, because those are both things that you need to have dialed in for race day. Next up is the potato chip rule. So getting into form, I like to call it holding the potato chip. So it's, holding your hands in a way where if you were holding a potato chip in each hand, so it's between the forefinger and the thumb on each side, and not grasping it and holding it really tight because you don't want to crumble the potato chip. you want to hold it so you get to snack on it after your run. So think about that the next time you run. See if that makes a difference. And then you also want to make sure that your shoulders are down. You have arms next to your rib cage, next to your side. I definitely have a chicken wing on my left side. My elbow pops out, and I've been working really hard with a running coach, not a running coach, a running form coach, to get that dialed in. And part of it has to do with my shoulders. The other part has to do with my hips. So I'm working on that to get that chicken wing brought in. So if you know that you do that, reach out and we can talk through some strategies on getting this form dialed in. You also want to have a slight forward lean from the ankles. So if you're a backseat runner, where you're leaning back, you have the brakes on, you have your heels striking, that's not a great form. You really want to have a slight forward lean from the ankles. You want to make sure that your foot is also placing and finding its way to the ground right underneath your hip or very slightly forward from your hip. You don't want to overstride, which means that your foot is finding its placement very far in front of your body. You want to make sure it's as close to your hip as possible. It's going to give you the best cadence, which is steps within a minute. And you want to be between 160 and 180. 180 is ideal. If you're racing and you look at your cadence, if it's close to 180, you're racing strong, your form's strong. If you find yourself in that 130, 140, even low 150 zone, I highly recommend, if you're not working with a running coach, to work with one or a strength coach. I have drills that I give my athletes on how to increase their cadence so their step and their turnover is faster. Even during easy runs, you can still have a good cadence on easy runs, aka running slower. All right, so we finished our run. Woohoo! Great job. Let's stretch it out. Make sure, you just spend a few minutes, hands to toes, figure four stretch, quad stretch. You can do static stretches. Earlier in our pre-run, we did dynamic stretches, which are very short, 2 to 3 seconds. Pull up on the quad, release, switch sides, keep it moving. Post run, we want to stretch it out, and it can be static. You can hold it for 15 seconds. You can hold it for 20 seconds. You are warmed up. Your body can handle that. When you are just getting into running and your body is cold and it needs to warm up, the last thing you want to do is hold a static stretch. So do not do that. Wait until the end. You can then refuel your body. Could everyone please mute themselves? I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. Thank you. So within 30 to 60 minutes of finishing your run, you're also going to want to refuel your body and throughout the day. A lot of times I'll have athletes say, I'm really tired during training, or I'm really tired after my long run. And the first thing I ask them is, what are you eating? Or what are you not eating? So refueling with carbs, proteins, and fats within that 30 to 60-minute window is crucial, especially after long runs or hard workouts. You want to have a 2-to-1 ratio, carbs to protein to fat. So twice as many carbs as you have protein to fat to refuel your body. So one, you recover well and you don't hit that 3 p.m. slump that we all hate. So if, let's say you travel for your long runs. I was doing this all summer long. I was driving all over the Denver Boulder metro area to do my marathon training. I would bring food with me to eat when I finished my run. And then when I got home or when I had access to a bigger meal, I would have more of a meal. So this can look different for everyone. If you're on the go and you need a snack to bridge between refueling and when you actually eat a full meal, I like bringing a piece of fruit, maybe some mush, which is overnight oats cold that you can buy pre-made. They're delicious. They also have a little bit of protein in them, which is amazing. Whole Foods, Target, Sprouts, maybe King Soopers or Kroger, also carry them. They're amazing. You can order them online as well. It's mush.com. Love their coconut coffee. They have a blueberry one that's amazing too. And for fall, they had a pumpkin spice. So, so good. So you'll want to refuel. I would also pair that with like a protein shake, something that has, pure protein in it. If you want to make a smoothie and bring that with you in the car to have afterwards, you want to keep it like in a little cooler or something, that's great too, as long as you're getting the carbs and the protein in that snack. If you can find a way to fit in some fat in that snack, that's great. And then when you get home, you can make yourself like a delicious breakfast of like pancakes and eggs, or an egg sandwich on a bagel with some avocado, something like that. You also want to make sure that you're hydrating not only during your run, but after your run and throughout the day, and making sure that you're drinking at least about 100 ounces of water a day. If you live in a humid or hot state, if it's summertime, if you live at altitude, you'll want to add about 10 to 20 ounces onto that per day to make sure that you are eating that you're drinking enough. You also want to kind of dial that in, and let's say you're drinking about 60 ounces of water a day. I don't want you going to 120 tomorrow. Like, gradually ease into it, because all you're going to do is deplete all of the electrolytes and nutrients that are in your body, and you're just going to like get rid of it. And that's not what we want you to do. Same thing for race week. I have athletes who will say, I haven't been drinking 100 ounces of water, but the day before my race, I drank, 150 or whatever. And it's way too much water. And it actually doesn't help at all to do it that way. So gradually ease into it and do what has worked for you on race week. Do not try anything new. And you also want to plan ahead. Like I mentioned before, if you're traveling to your running route, you have a busy day, etc., making sure that you plan ahead to bring enough food with you, and hydration. You also, get to foam roll. Do this while you're watching TV. I like to do this when I'm answering Instagram messages, like foam roll. You can take an Epsom salt bath. Essential oils are really great. I love Sage oils, SAJE. They're based out of Vancouver, Canada. They have awesome oils for runners, and they have like a recovery one and then a pain release one. They're both super great. And the best recovery tool out there is sleep. Getting enough sleep. 7 to 8 hours is great. If you're in the height of marathon training or ultra training, even a really heavy half marathon training, 8+ hours. If you can get closer to that 8.5, 9, that's awesome. If you need to sneak a nap in, do that too. Do whatever you can do to set yourself up for success, because sleep will repair the damage that you're doing during your workouts. It'll help you feel just better the next day. I also love compression socks. Sometimes I'll wear them after my run. Sometimes I'll wear them. I don't really know if this is good or bad, but it works for me. I'll wear them to bed, especially if I'm doing a hard run at night, and then I need to turn around 12 hours later and do another long run, or moderate hard or moderate long run. It's a great way to kind of keep the blood flowing in your legs and feel really good. All right. So when in doubt, ingest carbs. Why not? I feel like as society, we feel like we can't or shouldn't eat carbs, and carbs are life. They are your friend. Let's talk about performance plates. I've talked about this in my stories. What are performance plates? I get that question a lot. It's a combination of protein, carbs, veggies, and fat. You can also make these performance bowls. This is crucial to running successfully. This is crucial for foundational running. Set yourself up for success with really great nutrition. Structure more calories around your run. If you're a morning runner, you should be eating before your run. You should be eating after your run. And then you can start to taper the calories down if you need or want to throughout the day. If you're running at night, let's say you're running after work, still eat a great breakfast, still eat a great lunch. Make sure that you're eating a snack before you go out to run, something that you can digest, your stomach can digest. It feels really good. I suggest toast with peanut butter, nut butter, maybe just a banana. Honey Stinger waffles are awesome. They have an awesome gluten-free cinnamon one that is my jam right now. Um, they're amazing. Um, you want to avoid fiber. You want to avoid too much protein. Both of those things can cause side stitches, and that just doesn't feel good. Getting back to the performance plates and bowls, some ideas are, I love like the burrito bowl, which is just, it could be brown rice, white rice, your preference. Maybe you season it a little bit. So it's like a cilantro lime. Maybe you sprinkle some or squeeze some lime juice on it. Black beans, avocados, salsa. That's one of my favorites. Maybe pair it with a few tortilla chips because tortilla chips are life. And who doesn't love that? Um, you can also do like salmon, broccoli, sweet potatoes. That is a great performance plate because you're getting the protein and fat in the salmon. Sweet potatoes are carbs. You can get some veggies in with like roasted broccoli. Throw it in the oven, 350, 400 degrees, 10 minutes. Season it with olive oil, salt, and pepper. Maybe sprinkle on some extra fancy salt at the end. I love sprinkling my vegetables with red pepper flakes because it does add a little bit of a kick, or I'll actually slice up some jalapenos and add those to a baking sheet of roasted broccoli, roasted Brussels sprouts, sprinkle on the jalapenos, salt, pepper, avocado oil, and then red pepper flakes after it's cooked, and it's amazing. And it has a little bit of a kick to it, which I think sometimes helps just add fun and variety to your meals. So you want to eat pre, mid, and post run if you're doing those long runs. If you're doing a run under 60 minutes, pre and post is great. You want to feel the energy and avoid that mid-afternoon energy crash because no one likes that. This is a quote from me. Success doesn't come easy. You must be willing to put in the work, have a plan, be consistent with your training to achieve your desired results. Get to trust the process, and most importantly, have fun. Because if you're not having fun, what are we doing? We get to have fun, first and foremost. Let's talk about injury prevention. As runners, we get injured all the time, right? My coach has told me, and this is so true, like whether you're injured or you're healthy, it doesn't matter because you're not going to stay that way, right? 99% of the people, if you're injured, you're most likely getting through that in a few days, a few weeks, a few months, and you're going to be healthy again. Up to 80% of runners get injured in any given year. That's a lot. That's a lot. Don't let it be you. What can we do to prevent injuries? You can build miles slowly. That's first and foremost. I love the 3 up, 1 down rule. If a runner is more sensitive, I'll do 2 up, 1 down. What does that mean? You're building miles slowly and in a controlled manner, either 3 weeks up, 1 week down, or 2 weeks up, 1 week down. It's a really great way to just ease your body into it. You avoid injury, you avoid burnout, and you should be able to, get through a training cycle healthy. Now, obviously, there's certain things that come into play, things that we can't control. 10 days out before my first marathon, I rolled my foot over a chunk of ice running in Denver. The race was in December. This was over Thanksgiving weekend. And that was something I couldn't control. Well, I guess I could have controlled that, but my coach couldn't control, and it just happened. And I had to take about 5 to 6 days off before the marathon and 0 running. So we don't want to do that. Things like that happen, right? But let's try and not get that overuse injury just because you went from 20 to 35 miles in 1 week, and your body can't handle that. You want to increase your mileage slowly. You want to run about 80% of your runs at an easy pace. What does an easy pace look like? We talked about this earlier today with my athletes too. Love it or hate it, they get pace recommendations, and they get that beautiful easy run pace recommendation that no one loves because it's slow and it hurts, and it's probably the hardest thing in training to get dialed in. But once you can get the easy pace dialed in, and you can have fun with it, and you can run with others and share stories and chat, and I feel like it's also a really great way to have zero expectations on a run. Just go out there and move your feet, do what feels good, don't push it, and just log those recovery miles in. You also want to vary your running workouts. You don't want to do the same track workouts, same threshold workouts every single week. You're going to plateau. If you're doing too much like high intensity running, so if you're doing really hard track workouts every single week or twice a week or whatever that looks like for you, you're probably going to get injured. That's not a great or smart way to go about a training cycle. You want to vary your track workouts. You want to vary your threshold workouts. You want to sprinkle workouts in the long run. You want to make sure that you're also paying attention to your body. And if you start to feel a niggle, that you take some rest time. You want to run on different terrain. We're going to talk about the niggles here in a second, but you want to run on different terrain too. Like I mentioned, I know there's athletes, and I was one of them, who have the same route that they run every single day. That's okay if that's what you have to do, especially if you're working, you have a family, you're super busy. Let's say you're training for a marathon or a half marathon, or you just have a 60 to 75-minute run, and leaving from your front door is the only way to get that run in. That's great. If you're running clockwise, turn it around and run counterclockwise. Try something different. If you can run in a different area of town, maybe on the weekends for your long runs, do that. I think that goes a long way, just not only to prevent injury, because what happens is if you're running the exact same route for 5 months, and then you go out and try and do something different, your body's going to plateau, and two, you might be really sore, or something might pop up where if you had a really hard track workout and then you go out and do a different terrain, it might be actually too much stress within those 2 days. So you just want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can do to set yourself up for success, and don't go 0 to 180 in any training cycle. You want to have that proper pre and post stretching that we talked about, dynamic stretches before, static stretches, holds 15 to 20 seconds after your run. You want to make sure that you're eating well and eating enough. Sometimes stress fractures populate and present themselves if you're not eating enough or not eating the right things. You want to make sure that you're strength training. This is actually a really big one. You want to make sure that you are doing resistance band work, really work on the glutes, work on the hips. You want to do a lot of lower body strength training, but not too much. So it's a really fine balancing act of making sure that you're getting the lunges and the squats and maybe the box jumps, the single leg deadlifts, calf raises. Get those in, start small, start conservatively. Maybe it's just body weights. Maybe it's 6 to 8 reps. Maybe it's going through the cycle twice. And then as you get stronger, you can increase and go to 3 reps, increasing to 12 intervals. 3 sets, 12 reps. And then also adding in weights and kind of adding in more. You don't necessarily need to spend 2 hours a week strength training. It can very easily be done throughout the week, 10 to 15 minutes a session. Do it while you're watching TV or listening to a podcast or something like that, so you can kind of both and it and set yourself up for success. If you do feel a niggle, if you do feel something come up, take a rest day, take 2, take 3, tell your coach. Definitely tell your coach if you have one. And take that time, because if you take the 2 to 3 days off as soon as you feel something, more times than not, you'll get back into it and feel totally fine. It's when we push through pain that it blows up, and it can set us back weeks, months. It can turn into something super gnarly that we don't want. So really rest the niggles when you feel it. And also have that differentiation between what is just fatigue and normal for running and what is actually something to be concerned about. So if it's something new, consult, your coach for sure. If it's not something new, consult your coach. But like, if it hurts, stop immediately and don't even push through it. If it's something that you're noticing on a run, and it's maybe a dull pain, you could probably run through it. If you want to stop, that's definitely better. And then address it from there. So just kind of know your body, know what's normal and what's not normal. Stress is stress too. I talk to my athletes about this all the time. Stress in your personal life, stress at work seeps into your training. And a lot of times that's actually good, because running is a great stress reliever. But if you are in a cycle where you are running hard and long, that's very stressful on your body. And when you add that in to a stressful work job, work season, life season, sometimes that's actually when the injuries will pop up on the running side of things, because it's too much stress for your body to handle when you factor everything in, and it can't handle it. So if you have a stressful situation happening outside of running, definitely take that into consideration and have a fine balance between how much is too much stress. And you'll know pretty quickly in your running, if you're feeling fatigued all the time, if your runs feel crappy all the time, if you can't seem to get a good win out of a workout, there's probably too much stress going on somewhere else. So that's time to reevaluate it, and see what you can cut back on. And then also hire a coach. Hiring a coach is great. I hired my first one a few years ago, and it was the best decision I made personally. One, it takes a huge relief, I think, in time constraint off of the athlete's shoulders. And if you're aligned with the right coach, they're going to set you up to push you to your potential, but walk that fine line of staying healthy and not getting injured. Obviously, things happen. We can't control everything. My coach couldn't control when I rammed my foot over a icy snowball and screwed up some tendons in my foot 10 days before the marathon. She couldn't control that. But coaches will control everything that they can to set you up for success. And injury prevention is one of them. So I don't like rules. I think it's a harsh word. I feel like it's very rigid. But if there is one rule, I mentioned this earlier, it's to have fun. So thank you. That was the running fundamental presentation. You can find more information on my website at elevateyourrunning.com. I'm also on Instagram and Elevate Your Running. I'm definitely more present on my personal page, which is Sarah, Sayrah, runs happy. And I really appreciate you guys. So thank you for that. And we have a few minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Everyone is muted. Thanks for the heart, Alexandra. All right, no questions? Beautiful. All right. Oh, let's see. All right.